Even with Google at our fingertips, we often seem to have more questions than answers. One woman is offering free words of wisdom in an unlikely yet rather perfect place in Milwaukee. Pauleen Lee takes us on a trip to the free little library of advice.
Along the Riverwalk in downtown Milwaukee,
I really felt like they belong with the people.
This free little library is bound with words of legends.
Book about Elvis Presley.
Words of instruction.
Dressed Like a Million.
And words to unleash the imagination.
Gone Girl.
But this library is different from the others.
There we go. There definitely seems to be fewer than before, because before I couldn't even put them all in a row. I had to shove some to the side.
Anja Notanja Seiger passes this free little library just about every day. And one day she thought it could use some special words of wisdom.
I feel like there were enough things that someone would be like, this one relates to me.
So she created a self-help of sorts.
I've read all of them.
On the second shelf of the library.
We are all in need of advice.
Advice for the anonymous.
So what do you have?
How much money is too much money?
Real questions from real people.
I'm 27. What should I be doing right now?
With real problems.
So some of it's not too serious.
Right. No, a lot of it's very humorous.
How do I get home? Someone was lost and needed advice on how to get home.
And inside each question, you'll usually find pages of different advice from different people that is just as fitting as it is witty.
Getting home will require the use of a pickaxe and 20 push-ups.
But then there are the other questions that are heavy on the heart.
Our son's wife has filed for divorce last Thursday. They have an 8-year-old son. Are you surprised that people are that vulnerable in a question?
If it's really hurting them, no.
Anja has always,
basically,
had a way with words.
I like how there's always a way of putting it.
And an old-fashioned typewriter is how she lets her words run wild.
There's no going back. There's no delete button. There's just the truth.
Her love for combining consonants and vowels could probably be described by one word in particular, her favorite.
Frantangular. It's kind of like another word that I've made for fantastic, but it's also kind of a combination of fantastic and peculiar.
She's a community performance artist in Milwaukee, and a few years ago she decided to put up an advice tent. More than a dozen writers joined her to offer themed advice to those looking for a little guidance.
We had like nihilistic advice, English teacher advice, Taoist advice, and you could go around and get as much advice as you wanted, with the idea that when you were done getting all that advice, you would have to make up your own mind.
More than 400 people stopped by that year, and it's grown ever since. She even held an advice tent in Florida last April.
Why do you think people gravitate towards getting advice from complete strangers?
Because there's no risk. And they don't feel like you're gonna give them some automatic answer. There's no agenda. All there is you, the question, instinct, and intuition.
They by no means have degrees in advice giving, just a compass for compassion.
It is the knowledge that we all have. It is the sacred knowledge.
Why does that make you laugh?
Because it's cheesy. But true. Most people already know what they want. They just need someone to push them in that direction.
Anja kept and documented all of the questions and their corresponding words of wisdom from her very first advice tent. But now, several years later, she's realized they could still do some good.
Oh, yes.
Provide a laugh or two.
I think that's jock advice.
And maybe even help others in similar situations.
Ultimately, I hope that a few of those questions go to the people who relate to them.
Which brings us back to the free little library on Milwaukee's Riverwalk. And that question Anja got a few years ago about how a family moves forward going their separate ways. Remember, It's not about words from experience. It's about words from the heart.
The story is not so much that she left, but that father and son as well as grandma are now here at the start of a new life. Scary as it is, they have each other, and great things may still come, and come greater than ever before even. Imagine that.
And that makes for some frantangular advice.